I've done it deliberately to try and help the child look at this, and I say, you could be as good as me, you could be better, you could just, this is my style, develop your own style. If you are creative, you will have your own unique style. Don't compare yourself to other people, because you're not that person. You're never going to be that person. You are you. So you want to brand yourself, and you've got to make the most of what you've got. And if you've got a talent for art or creativity, go with it.
Good morning.
Dan, good
Hello,
morning.
Guy. How are you?
I'm very well.
Lovely to see you. Guy Chapman is a full-time artist and associate member of the RBSA. I paid a visit to his home studio one bright and frosty morning to discover just what life is like for a full-time artist.
Well, it's completely unstructured.
Right.
If I'm honest. I just come down in the morning. I've got a 20-yard commute to work, so I come down here and I just carry on drawing. I put that on, I start drawing, and then I just lose myself in whatever I'm doing. If I'm doing a drawing like this one, this will take about 3 months to draw. So it's a very slow process, because I've got to essentially draw it in pencil, then redraw it in ink, and then colour it in. So I just come down and I just do a bit over the day, and then at the end of the day I go back to the house, and it's that structured, but that's fine, because in my head there's so much going on. I'll go back and I'll do some sketches here which I can then translate into ideas and the rest of it. So it may seem that I'm just having fun drawing. On the surface of things, that's kind of what it is, but that's the same with a writer or anyone else. They're not just there scribbling away, they're creating something which is going to be for the benefit of other people ultimately, hopefully. If it gets up on a shelf in some Waterstones or somewhere, but it's not structured at all.
Where do the ideas actually originate from? I mean, how do you actually come up with them in the first place? When do you decide, right, this is what I'm going to be working on next?
It's completely random. So at the minute my work has become quite detailed. So I was showing you this picture of this airship thing earlier. It's become very, very, very detailed, and I just love minutiae of stuff. So a lot of these drawings I also hide a lot of stuff in. So I did one recently, there was some Simpsons characters in there, a lot of NASA, Area 52. Is it Area 52? Anyway, that one in America. There's all this stuff that I like to hide in. I know most people will never see it, but I put it in there. And some people know it's there and they hunt for it. But what do I decide to draw? I just have images, and I'll go through all of this. So all of these, for example, I just sit down and draw sketches. So this one here, for example, has inspired this picture, and I think, okay, I'm going to do that one. After this picture, I have literally no idea, after this drawing, what I'm going to do. I'm not even thinking about it, because this won't be finished till probably mid-March time. So I only work on one thing at a time, because my head can't cope with lots of different ideas. It's all concentrated on this. All starts in here, and then I just randomly draw and think, oh, that'd be quite good. I'll do that next. So there's no hard and fast rule. It's kind of what comes out in my head, and it's like a stack of stuff. It's like a huge warehouse of stuff that's in here, and I got to select one thing, and then I'll just run with that. So it's and at the minute, this kind of work is where I'm at.
Although Guy had a talent and a love for drawing from a very early age, he didn't necessarily see himself doing it as a full-time job, and so spent most of his working life in a series of very unassuming roles, with a spell in the police force before going on to work for companies such as EMI and Rolls-Royce.
Because I didn't want to just be on the level. I'm always been aspiring to be something, so that it's, again, it comes back to not showing off to the world that I am this great person. It's for my own personal achievement because I feel on my journey I've been sideswiped or stopped or prevented somehow from achieving anything. So my sense of actual worth was always very low.
Right.
Not achieving much money or not achieving careers, all the things that the world say you should be doing this, and it didn't seem to happen for me. So I thought, right, so there was a desire within me to achieve that somehow, and creativity in art is a perfect way of doing it. And we said before that you don't necessarily have the ability to make it happen, but you can push your life in that direction. And that's what I think, there was an inner drive that I wanted some kind of recognition for what I was doing, because creative people are, when they write or when they draw, this is part of them that's coming
Yes.
out, and it's important in as much as everybody's got like an ego, or everybody wants to be liked.
Within.
Well, what it did lead to was some of my early work, which is up there on that shelf somewhere. But I was using the then equivalent to one of these. This is a uni pen, but it was like the rotoring pens, very, very minute. So I use a 0.3mm nib. It's really teeny weeny. Get some great detail. I started at the same time I was at EMI drawing fantasy pictures, and I thought, oh, I like these, and then it progressed. So by the time I ultimately left EMI, having done some nice creative stuff, meeting some quite famous people and the rest of it, which was really good fun. Adamant, what a nice guy. Some of these people were so humble, which is wonderful. There's nothing worse than a big-headed star. So I went away having been able to realise the potential for being successful at art, and I was already creating a style of work which I am now have developed way and beyond what I ever would have done, and it's what I'm now known for, this kind of art. So it's ultimately paid off.
Although his talent continued to shine through, it took a redundancy in 2016 for Guy to finally consider dedicating his working life to art, with the support and encouragement of his wife playing a vital part.
Do this. In fact, it was my wife who said, just do this and I'll support you, because you can't just do this. You need a reputation, and reputation is a slow burning thing, a bit like YouTube, I guess. So I've always had the skill, but I didn't really know what I wanted to do. And I think and that's one of the problems, isn't it? Because if you don't know what you want to do, how do you know what direction to go in? It's really hard. So the one thing that really helped me was that my wife saw the potential in this, and I thought, well, I would love to do this full time, and now here is my opportunity. So on my office wall, like I said, I had Carpe Diem, this slogan up there, and it's just something I looked at the last day that I was there before I pulled it off the wall. I thought, I'm going to do this, and so this is what I've been doing. So since 2016, I've now been doing art, and it's become progressively more complicated and more I think much better than it ever was, and I can see it going in a very positive line. But I'm 61 now, and it's taken me all this time to get to this point, and part of that is because of the ADHD, because the education system didn't recognise it in the 70s. So my reports, and I've still got them all, lazy, looking out the window,
Right.
a daydreamer, all the things that a creative person,
All the things that have helped you actually with your art.
Exactly, and that's the
Right.
good thing. So you can see it as a negative thing at the time because you weren't aware about all these things, but now I'm aware of it. It's actually a real benefit to me, because all of those characteristics that I have with that kind of sort of mind condition have helped me considerably to do the one thing that I'm actually ultimately, after 61 years of realising it, really good at. So it's not a curse. It was back then because no one understood it, so I was made to do tests. It came out that I had a very high IQ. That then proved that I was being lazy, willfully lazy, because I wasn't applying myself. But that wasn't the case. There was another reason for it. So the ADHD in this case, and this is advice I give to a lot of people and I meet a lot of kids with this, or autism, that actually those conditions are superb for creative people. And if you have got that and you realise that you're good at writing or dance or whatever it is, you should really pursue it, because that for you is your thing. It's going to fuel what you're good at, and that's true. And artists are very similar, and I see so many people with this kind of head thing going on, and I get them straight away. I think, oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. Trying to understand from an early age that you want to be an artist or something like that is just, I think it's just very difficult. Creative, careers they weren't a thing, to use that term back then. Careers advice. I never, ever once had careers advice at school. So you just go to school, then you're just popped out into the world somehow, and you somehow get through it. But ultimately, it was my opportunity to do something which I now really enjoy doing. And over the last 6 years or 7 years, I've been able to progress, and now having I think it was last March, joining the RBSA, that was a significant thing, because it's a bit like the Royal Academy. You don't just join that, you have to be voted in, you have to be peer reviewed for your art by some very top of their game people. So that was a very significant moment. And if I hadn't had that redundancy, I would still be dreaming about, I wonder if I could ever be an artist. I'd be in some uninspiring job which was never going to go anywhere. But here I've got the ability to really flourish and use what my head was once seen as a problem is no problem at all, because it's allowing me to do something which other people are now paying, as this year was a good example, some quite big sums of money for art that I just imagine and just somehow put onto paper, and they go, oh, I'll pay £4,000 for that. That's an amazing thing. I don't feel huge pride in it. I just think that's really nice that somebody would like to do that, so it's not a case of me thinking, oh, how good am I? It's not that at all. It's just about, it very much is, I think, a personal journey where I don't need to be on top of a mountain to show other people. I just need to, for my own personal good, I just want to be able to think, well, finally, even if it is a bit late in the day, possibly, in my early 60s now, that I'm actually going to achieve something which it would have been nice to have achieved 20 years ago, but it isn't how it worked out. But it is going to be okay now. And so I think the future is generally quite positive.
Hello, I'm sorry for the brief interruption, and I promise to keep it brief. Firstly, thank you so much for watching this video. If you're not already aware, this channel is purely a voluntary project. I set it up alone, and the goal is to help and inspire young people with creative ideas and advice that will hopefully see them successful in forging a career in life. However, it can't succeed by itself and without support. So if you haven't already subscribed, I'd really appreciate it if you could do so. It's entirely free, and as well as meaning that you get notifications of any new videos arriving, it just also really helps the channel to grow. So all you need to do is check below this video or any others, and there'll be a subscribe button if you haven't already done so, if you're not already a follower. Now, if you enjoy this video and any others, please give it a thumbs up, and do leave a comment if you'd like to do so. But most importantly of all, if you know anybody who would be interested in this channel and the content that I provide, might be young people, college students, those looking for interesting career choices or inspiration or advice, please do share the channel, Dan's Creative Creatures. As I say, the main purpose, the main goal of the project is to help young people. Thank you. Back to the episode.
The whole art world is all about visuals. It's a bit shallow, really, on a lot of levels, but it's very, very important, visuals and first impressions. So how you present yourself, where you present your art, which exhibitions you go to, the prices, it's all very important and takes a lot of juggling as well. Is your work too cheap? People won't buy it. If it's over expensive because you're not yet known, people won't buy it. But it can be that sweet spot. So like I said, this year I made about £7,500 in one weekend just from one buyer. Now, that was the sweet spot for that pricing. If I couldn't have done that last year or the year before. And it's also part of the allure, because who was it? Somebody had said to me once about a gold miner chipping away at a gold seam, never ever getting it. And the day that he stops, he goes, well, I can't be doing this. I do this every day and I've never got a piece. And he was one more chip away from the mother seam. And that's like a bait. It's like a carrot on a stick. Tomorrow might be the day. Today might be the day. I might meet someone of huge import who comes in and goes, do you know what? We've been looking for someone like you. I don't bother with Facebook or anything like that. I think it's the wrong platform for an artist. I think anyone who does visual arts, Instagram's the way to go. It seems to be the thing. It's very, everyone's like, flick. But in that 1 or 2 seconds that you're looking at that image, it's because it's there on the screen. I think Instagram offers a very good opportunity to put your stuff out there. And it's very random. And there's only certain things you can do. And I'm sure that's the way for dancing. There must be 1,000 actors, dancers, musicians out there who are world class and will never be found because the thing hasn't found them, or they just haven't been in the right place at the right time. It's a bit unfair as well because there's a lot of talent out there, but it's just the way of things. It's just, you just got to do the best you can. And that's what I say to people, especially kids. If you have a field full of beautiful flowers, no one will notice any of them. They'll only notice the one that's slightly higher than the rest. So make yourself that one that's slightly higher than the rest.
Shine
However you
brighter.
do it, however you do that for you, do it.
When it comes to the process of creating his art, each piece is entirely unique, with a huge amount of intricacy and detail, which can often take Guy several months to complete, using a combination of pencil and fine liner pens.
It is still evolving, and this is my spaceship phase.
Right, okay.
Because I've done a lot of like trees and fantasy stuff like that. And I've got a friend who wants me to illustrate a kid's book, which is very much going to be trees, fantasy, castles and stuff. But this is another element to that, and this is where I am at the minute. I just cannot help myself but do detailed work. I can't draw quickly, and I can't draw something that's very quick or hasn't got much detailing. I just like to shove stuff in, knowing, as I said before, that people will probably, on the whole, never see it or know it's there, or realise certain sequence of numbers or designs are actually from, I don't know, say NASA or something. But some people I've seen, they go, oh, look at that. And that's makes me happy.
Yeah.
Because that's the whole point.
Well, on this one here, you've got, this is the spaceship at the moment.
Very, very early rendition of
very
it.
Early, yeah. So you can see the overall shape at the top.
Yeah, so it is on its side at the minute. It's got these big 3 fins here and this, whatever this is supposed to be. And the whole thing about this is that I can see it as something, but I just say to people, it's whatever you want it to be. And these are the 2 tools that I use the most of. So this thing helps me get some really, if I wanted to put something like a tiny rivet or a little panel there, it's a lot easier just to see when I'm doing it with this. Some really important tools you can use as well, rubbers like this, because you can use these to rub a lot of detail out, or if these are okay for large areas, but if you want to get some control over it, that's no good. But one of these is, so I've got about 3 different types of these, some with different nibs on the end. Yeah, now this is one of the pictures that I sold earlier this year. This is called Fat Boy. It was probably about that big, the original. And again, that initially, this is...
Oh wow, I can see the level of detail. Yeah, like riveted each panel.
Yeah, so each panel is got its own rivets, and it's just showing the inner workings of a large spaceship. And all of this is normally just blank piece of paper, and it's just building it up, so that you've got all these pipes and stuff. All of those have to be drawn twice. Now, when that's at the pencil stage, that is just a mishmash of grey. There's no depth or no definition at all, and it can be quite a challenge.
It's just incredible level of detail there.
Yeah, it can be very mind-numbing, but that's That's where ADHD can come in because of the hyperfocus.
Yeah.
So I can spend a long time in that.
As well as helping his ability to concentrate on small details, Guy's own experience of ADHD has been a big driving force for him when it comes to engaging with the younger generations. As well as working on a forthcoming picture book, he also does a lot of work with schools to help provide guidance and encouragement to children.
So I like doing things like trees are great because you can fit all kinds of things into a tree, like doors and windows and stuff. And I'm actually creating a second book for kids with ADHD stroke autism. So it's going to be a storybook without words. It's going to be I've got the templates in there. I've done about 4 so far. And so it's going to be a bit similar to this. It's going to be a square format because I understand that's good for books for kids. And it's going to be so richly detailed that each child wouldn't necessarily need to be able to read prose, so they can just come along to it, make their own story up. And when I exhibit at exhibitions, I often say to kids, who lives here? What's going on here? They all have an incredible, unique story about what's going on in the same picture. And so I thought, right, for kids who have trouble reading, I'm going to create a book which has got probably about 20 colour pictures in it, and it's just going to be for anyone. So each story is completely unique, to the individual looking at it, rather than being narrative led. I did a similar-ish type thing where I went into a primary school. It was year 4, so they were 8-year-olds, I think. I had a friend who was a primary school teacher, and I went in, gave them some of my art, these 8-year-olds, and I said, how many of you guys are artists? No one put their hands up. So I said, right, take some pictures and now create your own based on what I've just given you. And it was astounding success. And so ultimately I had it published, and it ended up in a couple of local schools. Some of the SEN teachers saw the potential, because creativity, especially for boys between 8 and 12, is super important for their cognitive development, which I didn't realise at the time. So it was a happy side effect. So now I'm creating this other book, especially to encompass kids. It's not specifically for them, but it is designed with them in mind. So if you have problems reading, it doesn't matter, you can create your own story. And this is for people who may be slow, as the world sees it, about reading all stuff, but actually, because they've got a creative element to them, it doesn't matter. They could be great narrators, great storytellers, there's all these things to try and develop. What I've come away with is that art and creativity, like this teacher said, between 8 and 12 for boys especially, I can't remember the exact science behind it, but it was really important. And so I've been able to develop pictures in the meantime, which I know when I get them out into these exhibitions, that kids, and they do, their parents will buy them because they see something in that picture. And I've done it deliberately to try and help the child look at this. And I say, you could be as good as me, you could be better, you could just, this is my style, develop your own style. If you are creative, you will have your own unique style. And you can compare artists, of all types. There are thousands of different writers and actors of all calibers and the rest of it. No one's better or worse, actually, than anyone else. You are just you. And I think that's an important thing to take away, that you are just as important in your own style as the person next to you. So Dali, or some of these other, Escher, that both got different styles. I can think of a number of other people who are all individual, all good in their own right. And it's not right to don't compare yourself to other people, because you're not that person. You're never going to be that person. You are you. So you want to brand yourself. You want to sell yourself. So this is what you do. And some people will like it. Some people won't. Some people will like a Jag. Some people like a Mini. They can see the potential in it, but not everybody is for everything, But so you're not a Mini and you're not a Rolls Royce. You are you. And so whatever your skill is, whether you're a writer or, in this case, an artist, pursue it. And don't. And I'm speaking to myself very much here, is don't look at other people's work and go, oh, they're so much better. They're not so much better, because their work isn't, they can't do what you do. I can't do what they do. And that's part of the joy. So, I can appreciate other people's styles, But I think embrace who you are. You are important, and I think there's too much comparison in society. Stop looking at other people. Everybody's on a journey themselves. No one's better than you. No one's worse. We're all on this playing field, and you've got to make the most of what you've got. And if you've got a talent for art or creativity, go with it.
Given the nature of Guy's long and often unconventional journey towards his true vocation, I asked him what advice he could give to any young up-and-coming artist in order to make the most of their talent.
Pursue it aggressively. If you've got it, do it every day. And books like this, years and years ago, I would draw and then throw the book away. But these days, what I say to anybody is to get one of these and start sketching. And it's an amazing history. I've got quite a few. I've got them dotted about the place where I can look back and see how I've developed. It's a great roadmap for seeing where you were. So if you think, oh, I'm not very good, who says you're not very good? By whose comparison is that? That's your own self-deprecation there, saying, well, I'm not very confident. I can think of a few artists that I won't name, but I can think of them. I think, oh my gosh, that's like really O-level stuff. But they're very well known. They're earning a lot of money through it. If you've got a talent and you're young and you need to get one of these, you need to get one of these and a pen and a rubber and just draw and keep drawing and keep doing it, because practice makes perfect. I remember my mum saying that. It's like one of those irritating things that parents say. You think, oh, shut up. But it's true. If you really want to get better, then you need to practice and practice and practice. And it's a daily thing. And buy the best materials you can buy. Some of these pencils, I've probably got 1,000 pencils, mostly from Caran d'Ache. Okay, and some of these sets are like £300 to £400 for not very many really, but they're premium pencils. Get the best that you can afford, because if you're going to get yourself on paper in front of people's faces, you need to put the best that you can on that piece of paper. So buy the best paper, buy the best tools, get people to buy stuff like that from you. But ultimately, the best thing, pick one of these up, or whatever your medium is, and just draw, paint, or, whatever it is, every single day, every opportunity, because that's something in you that you don't just have, and it's at a certain standard. You need to develop it. It's like a farmer growing his crops. They're ultimately, you can have a beautiful rainforest, but it all started with seeds. You've got to propagate those, and you've got to keep nurturing it. So it is a long burn. And if you're 14, then you've still got all your GCEs and the rest of it, or whatever they are now. You've got all these things and all the life ahead of you. But that time can be invested really sensibly and very important, actually, just to keep picking one of these up and do it every day, because you will learn new techniques, you will learn new ways of doing things, and you will ultimately get better at what you do. And if you want to be a professional, like this, or you could be in computer game industry or or film industry, or whatever it is that wherever you want to go, they will recognize the amount of talent that you have because you've time served it. So if you just think that you're good at art and you never pick one of these up, then the results will speak for themselves. And the flip side is true. So practice, practice, practice.
So what an absolutely wonderful morning I've had in Guy's workshop studio here. This is where he creates his art. It's so important that people, creative people particularly, have got their own space, and a space that works for them, and an environment that is allows them to flourish. I've seen it in all sorts of different locations throughout the course of this project, but here this is very much Guy's domain, and he's surrounded it with his art and with the things that he loves. It's been brilliant to talk to him about his life, really. He is very self-deprecating in terms of the whole concept of it being a career. Being an artist, it's not necessarily like joining the fire service or being a doctor or a lawyer in the sense that it's mapped out. It's very much for a proper artist, and it's extension of their personality. It's it's themselves doing the thing that they need to do. And I think it's really brought it to life, speaking with Guy about his background and those key moments along the way that have helped to encourage him to where he's at now. And again, it's another lesson in terms of not letting go of your dreams, not thinking that you need to have achieved something by a certain point in your life. Here he is, and he's got so much potential, ahead of him, and such an exciting future, with great support as well, it must be said. And a fantastically talented artist, and I absolutely love his drawings, and I can't wait to see how this one's going to turn out. So I hope you enjoyed the episode.